All right, so in this video, I want to talk about why I actually transitioned from being a tech bro, making over 200K a year at 22 years old, to becoming an agency bro. And the things I talk about in this video is going to be more so about life and life's purpose, and really talking about mortality and how life is very short, right? So first off, the first thing I want to talk about is really about leverage. So, what necessarily is leverage? So, Archimedes said a quote, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." So, whenever you are working at a job, 9 to 5, the only thing that you have leverage over is nothing. So, you do have your finances sorted out, you do have a good work life balance, but everything else, the most important leverage in your life is really how can we leverage time, right? So, whenever you can leverage time to your capabilities instead of trading it for money, that's when you unlock a whole different perspective on life. So, working at a tech firm, you are trading your hours per day for money. So whenever you start an agency, even though in the beginning it's very hard, you're trading time for money, but you're building systems at scale where you no longer have to trade time for money. You can build your outbound sales team, you can build your inbound sales team, appointment setters, closers, systems people, service delivery, media buyer, client fulfillment manager, client success manager, and all sorts of things, right? So afterwards, your time is no longer limited to producing a certain amount of outcome. It's basically an exponential effect. And we are very limited on our time on earth. And what I've noticed since I graduated college is time passes very fast. Right now, I'm 24 years old. It seems like yesterday I was still in high school. I was 16 years old watching Ty Lopez on my iPhone 4S, whatever. And it seems like these past few years just flew by. And I haven't really made much progress, it seems like. Even though I worked at a tech firm, money was pretty good at 22 years old. It feels like I didn't make much progress in terms of developing myself to become the human that I want to be one day. And one thing about the agency is it teaches you a lot about business and fast tracks you through business. So even though coming from a tech background where the money is pretty good, agency really taught me the sales game, how to really find clients, how to service them, how to hire a team, how to hire appointment setters, how to manage a CRM, how to set up systems and automations that's set up for scale. And it's very transferable to any other industry because prior to starting an agency, I actually started a couple SaaS companies. SaaS companies didn't do super great. I was in maybe $500 a month, reoccurring, and I came into the agency game where the cash flow is a lot higher. You get a lot higher PIFs, and a lot of the systems you build out are very transferable. Say one day I want to start a SaaS, I can build an outbound sales team. And it's very efficient for me to learn this in the agency game and transfer later on into a SaaS, which the market's very complicated. SaaS is a very hard industry to get into, but agency is pretty much a very low barrier to entry. And everybody online always talks about it. Hormozy always talks about it. Leverage, 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 right? So, like, how do we leverage our time? The thing on the left is very dependent on the time that we have. So, how you scale this with leverage is the more time you have, the more impact it'll make on your business. And how can we scale time? We scale time by hiring other people to do all the day to day work, whether it's an appointment setter to call up the leads, a triager to call up all the leads, qualify them, or it's a closer to take the sales calls, or it's service delivery, media buyers to actually handle the ads for the clients. All this scales up time. And that's what I've noticed. Whenever you work at a job, you can't really scale up your time. You can't really just go out and hire appointment setter, closer, an offshore developer to code for your job. So you really have a limited leverage on your life and on your income. So that's really the number one thing. And number two is mortality. So getting into this is a lot more, I would say, more dark, but it's something I always think about right before I sleep, right? We are very limited on the time that we have on earth. So we really want to maximize the time that we do have on what you really want in this lifetime. If you want that Tate lifestyle with the beautiful women, the fast cars, the yachts, all sorts of nice watches, nice foods, you can have that if you wanted to, if you worked hard. If you wanted to live your life in a van camping from national park to national park, you can have that. If you want to raise a family on a ranch somewhere, raise up a big family of 5 kids, you can have that. Money doesn't really help you find happiness and fulfillment, but it does stop you from worrying about financial problems. If I had finances problems, I probably couldn't get life experiences at the max I could get them at, right? If I'm constantly worried about I don't have the money to make that trip to Hawaii, I don't have the money to go to Europe this summer with my kids, that's always a concern and it stops us from really experiencing life to the fullest. And that's one thing that I've really noticed is just really questioning your mortality. Um, like this video could be the last video you ever watch. This could be the last video I ever make. So, what do I really want in this lifetime that I'll feel proud looking back, that I could tell my kids, my grandchildren about? And what are the stories that I can bring them? What are the lessons I can teach them? And at a 24 years old, I've traveled a whole bunch of places, probably 30 different countries. So I have a lot of different experiences in life, but I want more of those stories. I want more of those lessons that I can pass on to the next generation, right? I'm still young, probably make some stupid decisions, but I really want to get the most out of this life and have that dad lore that gets spread on. So for me, I just want to show a couple of photos. Here's me in the Dolomites. And all of this was made possible by, starting an agency, right? So I was in the Dolomites hiking for around a week. I was staying in hostels, meeting all sorts of German people. They took me out to get some German beers. It's an amazing experience I had in my life. And number two is really just going Hajong Loop in northern Vietnam, sitting on a very sketchy rock in the middle of a whole valley. If I fall, then I would question my mortality. But yeah, it's just experiences like this that really makes life worth living for me, at least, right? I love Muay Thai, I love MMA. I was training Muay Thai in Thailand and Phuket for a summer. I was in Hajong Loop with a bunch of people from my hostel, 20 different people. And every single night we just drank happy water, did karaoke, ate with the locals, and really just made lifelong connections just from 5 nights together, driving from house state to house state. So these are really the stories that I want out of this lifetime. For you, really, my goal for you is to find your purpose, what you really want out of this lifetime, whether it's the Tate lifestyle, whether you want to travel, whether you want to build a huge $1 billion company. It's really up to you. And I don't want you to kind of sit on your hands and wait for that opportunity to happen. And number three, so life is all about the process because the destination is all the same. Everybody always says it's about the process, but the thing is, the process really sucks. Being in the process, being in the trenches really sucks. There are definitely moments where I just want to quit. I want to quit everything. Don't want to do any agency. Don't want to do business anymore. It's a very hard thing to do. But I would regret this in 10, 20 years if I never took a chance at it. because the destination is all the same. I want to have all these lessons and lore and experiences that I could pass on to future generations and just really document online as well. And I've always been into the self improvement space. Even when I found Tai Lopez at 16 years old, I was constantly going to the gym, eating clean, setting new goals, uh, starting to dress well whenever I entered college. But I really wanted to challenge myself at the next thing, right? And the biggest challenge of all, harder than anything I've done, I've climbed volcanoes in Guatemala. That was pretty hard. But the hardest thing I've done is really just starting a business, because it's more so of a mental challenge where you're constantly battling these self doubts that you have in your head. How can I scale the system? What if I fail? What if I can't deliver for my clients? All sorts of things, right? Right before you sleep, it sometimes keeps me awake at night, but I know that these problems are good problems to have, because I care a lot about my clients. I care about their service delivery. My clients have families, they have kids. I want them to succeed as much as possible. And, you know, taking on these challenges is really about teaching yourself, advancing as a human being, as far as in terms of character, in terms of facing new challenges, new horizons. Humans are made to explore the unknown. Business was definitely an unknown for me, coming from an introverted software engineer. I never knew a thing about sales. I just dove into it. It's more so a trial by fire. There's always things that you won't know. There's always things that you'll doubt yourself about. But the biggest thing is taking the next steps. So I just like to end this video on a high note. Some good takeaway advice. But yeah, that summarizes why I actually decided to move towards the agency route, despite my success at 22 years old. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.